Someone sent me a pic. Tell me why at the top it said Facetune in the title.
The canceled podcast is on its last legs, and from the looks of it, this show won't be wrapping up on friendly terms. The tension has been brewing for a while.
When I lived in a sorority house, there were 60 girls who lived in the house. The night before like a big day party, we would all sit around the table and take laxatives together.
But after the explosive argument on their latest episode, it feels like the end is near, and it's messy.
And then just like blow the whole house up.
Tana Mongeau and Brooke Schofield have been running Canceled for over 4 years, and what started as a wild, chaotic experiment has turned into one of the most talked about podcasts in the influencer world. But now,
on my bed, under my light bulb, just naked, thinking I was gonna get a tan. I also used to stick a pen in my cheek to try to get a dimple.
the future looks shaky. When Tana first brought Brooke on as her co-host, fans weren't exactly thrilled. Die-hard Tana supporters were still holding on to resentment after the whole Mindy Storytime drama, and many had a grudge against Brooke before she even had a chance to prove herself.
I think that for both of our mental health, I just feel a little stagnant in my peace era because I'm still holding on to this like unpeaceful, and obviously by contract. And like, I am getting in this place where I am like really awaiting the ending of this contract for my peace, like realizing that this is the final outlier in my peace era, which is so unfortunate because when we started it, well, we weren't peaceful when we started it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like just, that's what it is. It's like starting this thing as chaotic ass individuals down for the smoke, up our own life, Barney's beanerying it up, pool boy the house down, and now we're in this era where like both of us are so peaceful.
At first, the vibe was off, and some listeners weren't buying into Brooke's presence on the mic. But time changes everything, and slowly the audience warmed up. Brooke wasn't the social media name she is today when she joined. Back then, she was just a fresh face navigating Tana's chaotic world. But as the show grew, so did Brooke.
Obviously, I've always said you and I have undeniable chemistry, and I'm so excited to showcase that in different ways. But I just like this commitment and this world around Canceled is just no longer for me, and I have to just like radically accept it. And I think that I'm realizing that strength for me is like putting my foot down and ending it. This has to happen for mental health because it's so important, and like it is just so clear to me what this is like now doing to my mental health.
It's devastating but also exciting, you know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to look at it again as a positive, which I know for a lot of people it's not a positive. It's not a positive for me either. It's not a positive for you, but like so much comes of letting go of things, like especially like before you necessarily feel like you're 100% ready. I know you feel 100% ready. I feel a little bit more apprehensive.
Week by week, she won over more fans, until suddenly people were tuning in just as much, if not more, for Brooke than they were for Tana. When you look back at some of Canceled's most viral jaw-dropping moments, a lot of them trace back to Brooke. Her personal stories, her secrets, and the way she exposed pieces of her life to the audience that kept everyone hooked. Season 1 of Canceled ran for 28 episodes before the train started to derail.
And then it's like, what do I do with this channel? Because it was my vlog channel before. Now is it just like continuing eras, and then like all of a sudden I'm like doing something else on this? Like it's just, do I leave Canceled up? Or do we delete all of Canceled?
What? Why would you delete all of Canceled?
Behind the scenes, there were major problems with the management company running the show. Contracts got messy, disagreements came up, and before long, the podcast was forced into an unexpected break that stretched nearly a year.
I don't know.
I'm counting on at least like $1,000 here or there from AdSense.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my God, that's just
Why
so
would
messy.
we erase it? Or do you hate me that much?
No, I don't hate you. I'm just saying like the era, like I don't know.
You want to delete it all?
I've also said a lot of things on Canceled that I would love to just die.
What the hell?
Well, I guess I'm just...
Well, it will live forever on somebody's account and they will collect. So we should collect.
Oh my God.
Oh my
It's so
God!
stressful.
Everybody download these episodes. God, I'm scared of her now.
No, I just like, there's so many things to figure out. I feel like the McBrooms.
Oh, like we're like dividing our assets or something?
Just like, you know, it's like, it's all so confusing.
Well, God, like he cheated with 40 women. Like we just decided like
It's so true.
this isn't gonna work.
I know, but then what? So every month I have to see what amount of AdSense for my channel comes. Well, this is like an off-camera conversation.
Oh, so now you're using this channel as your vlogs again?
Well, like, what if I wanted to?
It
You
was.
can't. We built this from the
Oh,
ground
boy, I
up.
was Emma Chamberlaining it up on this channel. You know, I got it to 2 mil. It's so interesting to like.
No, because I'm collecting. I'm invoicing you.
And while the show was on pause, Brooke wasn't sitting around waiting.
I cannot stress to you guys enough how much you are going to gag over Tana Mojo X Tarte Cosmetics, okay?
She started exploring her own opportunities, talking with Barstool, and even entertaining the idea of launching a brand new podcast with another influencer.
Get all the episodes and re-upload on a dedicated channel just for that to be archived there. And
True.
so everyone can watch it whenever they want.
what she said in them.
Right, no, I get that part. But as far as consideration to Brooke, she's like, okay, let's put it here. Whoever wants to go back and watch it, it's there. They can watch
For
it.
public or just for them?
For the public.
But Tanner's the one out in the public.
I get that, but there's 2 people here, right? Like, so that would be.
If he's like, please take this down, I wouldn't be like, well, no, we have sponsors on there and I'll have to pay the sponsors back. I'd be like, yeah, I'll take it down. It sucks. Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know.
That year-long break marked the first big crack in the foundation of Cancelled. And now, with the current drama,
Implore the idea of deleting episodes of Cancelled. Don't shoot. I should not have just said that so flippantly. The problem is, obviously, though, when you're sitting and you're podcasting with someone that you have done this with for so long and like you're on tour together and you're friends. I know the F word, it scares you all. You just say shit sometimes. You say shit flippantly. An idea comes through your head and you say it. And I think that's where I went wrong. I think if I was going to say that, I should have said all of my thoughts on that, not just like, hey, should we delete years of our life's work and a body of work that means so much to not only us, but other people?
fans are wondering if those early warning signs were pointing to exactly what we're seeing today. The beginning of the end. Things eventually smoothed out for Cancelled, and by April 2023, Season 2 was officially underway.
But obviously also we're on tour, and every night this video is playing of me on the podcast specifically. It's the episode with Trevor Wallace, and that one might have to get chopped up. We might silently be deleting some things.
The relaunch was a massive success. The podcast was back in full swing, hitting millions of views, selling out live shows, and even embarking on worldwide tours. For a while, it felt like Tana and Brooke had turned Cancelled into one of the biggest and most profitable podcasts in the influencer space.
And people telling her to lawyer up and seeing all of that discourse is so funny to me, because it's like she can. I would only be, and people are only afraid of people lawyering up if they have something, A, that they're trying to hide, or B, that they're trying to shyst someone on. And one thing I am not ever going to do is shyst Brooke Schofield on one single dollar.
But just when the show seemed untouchable, everything flipped on its head. The drama started when old tweets from Brooke resurfaced, sparking her very own cancellation.
I am closing this chapter and we're moving forward, and I want nothing but the best for her and myself. But like, I'm not gonna do her wrong, especially in the end when like, I am so well aware of how vital she was to this whole thing, you know? It is my channel, however. It was at 2 million before we started Cancelled.
Practically overnight, she went from riding the peak of her career to being dragged through the mud. Fans weren't just upset. They were calling for Tana to cut ties with her co-host entirely. It was a shocking fall from grace for Brooke, who had worked for years to win the audience over, only to find herself back under heavy scrutiny. But the situation escalated even more when Brooke's personal life became the center of attention. Around the same time, she began dating her now fiancé, Miles McFly. At first, it seemed like just another influencer relationship, but the internet quickly did what it does best: dig. People uncovered an old post of Miles with then 17-year-old model Isabella Pasquard, back when he was nearly 30. The age gap and the optics of the photo sparked outrage, and rumors swirled that Miles and Isabella had been romantically involved. Brooke immediately denied the claims, insisting the speculation was false and that it wasn't what it looked like. She stood firm, saying she never believed Miles had been inappropriate. Still, the backlash wouldn't die down. Fans accused her of ignoring red flags, and the noise around her relationship became deafening. Slowly but surely, it started to bleed into the podcast itself. The once fun, carefree energy between Tana and Brooke shifted. Listeners noticed that the pair seemed hesitant, cautious, and far more filtered than before. They weren't telling the outrageous stories that made Cancelled famous, especially since both women were now settled in long-term relationships. The messy, chaotic dating drama that used to fuel the podcast was gone, and fans could feel the difference. What had once been an unpredictable, raw, and hilarious show now felt muted. The fun was fading, and the podcast started to feel like it had run its course. That's why it came as no surprise when whispers began circulating that the end of Cancelled might be closer than anyone expected. So when Tana and Brooke finally announced that Cancelled would be coming to an end after this season, fans weren't exactly shocked, but they were still heartbroken. For many, it felt like the writing had been on the wall for months. The energy hadn't been the same since Brooke's cancellation, and while loyal listeners held on to hope that things might return to the fun, chaotic vibe of earlier seasons, deep down, people knew the podcast had lost its spark. Still, the announcement hit hard, because fans weren't just tuning in for drama. They loved hearing Tana and Brooke talk about their lives, no matter the context. The unfiltered banter was what made Cancelled special. Originally, the plan was for Tana and Brooke to stick it out until their contract ended. But in classic Tana fashion, that didn't last long. Just a few weeks ago, Tana went public saying she had changed her mind. She admitted that continuing wasn't true to herself anymore, and instead of pushing through, she was ready to let go. According to her, holding on to the podcast was bringing her more stress than joy. So she decided to end the contract early, leaving them with just 6 episodes to close the chapter. Of course, that sparked endless debate. Whose decision was this, really? Was Brooke secretly the one ready to call it quits? Or was this all Tana making a power move? Some fans believe Tana wanted to distance herself from Brooke's controversies, especially now that Tana has found new success working with Trisha Paytas. Their unexpected collaboration has been praised as a wild redemption arc, and for Tana, ending Cancelled could clear her path for a fresh start. On the flip side, Brooke doesn't have nearly as many revenue streams as Tana, making this ending feel far more devastating for her. For Tana, it's a pivot. For Brooke, it's potentially a loss of her biggest platform. And then came the bombshell. On the most recent episode of Cancelled, while the two were reflecting on the podcast's ending, Tana casually mentioned something that left Brooke stunned. She said she wasn't too sure what she'd do with her YouTube channel once Cancelled officially wrapped, since it used to be her vlog hub. Then she dropped the line that shook fans. Tana hinted at going back to vlogs and deleting every single Cancelled episode from the channel. That revelation blindsided not just the audience, but Brooke herself. You could see the shock on her face. For Brooke, those episodes weren't just content. They were years of her life, her growth, her stories, and her work. For Tana, apparently, they were disposable. The casual way Tana floated the idea made it clear. She was already looking beyond Cancelled, while Brooke was still holding on to what the show meant. That moment on the podcast was painfully awkward, and it did not go over well with Brooke at all. The tension was thick the second Tana casually floated the idea of deleting all the Cancelled episodes. Brooke instantly shot back, visibly shaken, saying something along the lines of, "What do you mean? How could you even think about deleting Cancelled? I'm still hoping for some money out of that every month. Why would you ever do that? I'm counting on it." You could tell she wasn't joking. This was her livelihood, her work, her stake in the show. The entire exchange was uncomfortable to watch. The vibe screamed that Tana was ready to walk away from Cancelled completely, and not just walk away, but erase it as if it never happened. Why else would she suggest scrubbing content that's guaranteed to bring in passive income every month? It felt cold, and it felt like Tana was trying to send a message. She doesn't want to be tied to Brooke or the podcast anymore. Fans immediately picked up on the tension, and the comment section lit up. People weren't shy about calling Tana out. One viewer wrote, "No, Tana was definitely testing the waters to see Brooke's response. The awkward forced laughing the whole time is very telling. I love Tana, but this rubbed me the wrong way." Another added, "That's actually weird. Why would Tana change the channel into something else? Brooke helped build Cancelled too." The general consensus? Tana wasn't joking. She was serious, and Brooke looked completely blindsided. It didn't stop there. Fans were urging Brooke to lawyer up, warning that this wasn't just a casual remark. It was Tana staking a claim. One person wrote, "Time to lawyer up and draw up legal documents. Tana wants to erase Brooke, I fear. I love Tana, but this is so shady." Another comment read, "Yes, Tana built her YouTube to 2 million, but Brooke helped turn Cancelled into the podcast it became." There was a time people loved Brooke more than Tana. Erasing that would be erasing history. The truth is, Brooke invested years of her life into Canceled. It wasn't just a podcast. It was her breakout platform, the thing that launched her into the influencer space. To think it could all disappear at the click of a button, with Brooke having little to no say in it, is devastating. The optics of Tana brushing it off like it was nothing made the whole segment hard to stomach. And here, yes, where fans believe the real motive lies, Tana's growing partnership with Trisha Paytas. The two have built a podcast together, and their friendship has blossomed into one of the most unexpected redemption arcs online. People see how Trisha went from being one of the most canceled creators on the internet, losing frenemies, being dragged constantly, and missing out on big opportunities, to now landing brand deals, appearing on SNL, and essentially rebranding herself as a success story. Fans think Tana is looking at that transformation and wanting to replicate it. By cutting ties with Brooke and erasing Canceled, Tana could be positioning herself for a fresh start, aligning with Trisha's energy instead of Brooke's controversies. For Tana, it's a strategic move. But for Brooke, it feels like being erased from her own history, and fans aren't staying quiet about how shady it looks. And why is Tana so drawn to following Trisha's path? Probably because Trisha has completely rebranded herself. She's toned things down, she plays it safe, and she says exactly what she knows people want to hear. And guess what? It's working. Ever since becoming a mother, Trisha genuinely does seem to be on a healthier, more stable path. The chaotic trolling and constant drama that once defined her career are gone, replaced by a softer, family-focused image that's bringing her massive brand deals and mainstream attention. Trisha realized that being the troll she once was wasn't beneficial anymore, and by walking away from controversy, she's securing longevity. It's safe to say that Trisha is no longer the scandal magnet she used to be, and that's what makes her story so appealing. Tana, on the other hand, looks like she wants the same thing. She's no longer chasing shock value headlines. She's openly talking about wanting peace, a quiet life in Hawaii with Maora, and a redemption arc just like Trisha's. The difference? Being linked to Brooke, who is freshly canceled and still surrounded by backlash, won't help her get there. When Canceled first launched, Tana herself was canceled. She wasn't getting brand deals, and the podcast was her way of turning controversy into content. But now, she's getting offers from major companies again. She has her own lip liner collab with Tarte, and has started working with huge brands that once wouldn't have touched her. The Trisha blueprint is right in front of her, and to fully embrace it, many believe Tana feels she has to step away from Brooke entirely. Of course, when the drama between Brooke and Tana blew up online, Trisha had something to say. She quickly addressed the situation on her own platform, and unsurprisingly, she leaned toward defending Tana. Her take was simple. If Tana wants the canceled episodes taken down because she no longer feels comfortable with them online, then that should be her decision. No questions asked. But here's where it rubbed people the wrong way. Fans felt like Trisha didn't even bother to consider Brooke's perspective. This wasn't just about embarrassing old clips for Brooke. This was about losing a steady stream of revenue and having years of her work erased in one swoop. Trisha's dismissal of Brooke's side had people calling her out, especially because of how closely she once supported Brooke. It now feels like she's fully Team Tana, no hesitation. One comment that went viral summed up the frustration perfectly. I hated how Trisha didn't want to listen to what Moses had to say about the Tana and Brooke situation. He was right. She can't compare her and Oscar to Tana and Brooke. Fans pointed out that Trisha could afford to lose YouTube revenue because she's raking in thousands from other ventures, just like Tana. But Brooke? For her, this was a career cornerstone. Losing that income would actually hurt. Viewers also dragged Trisha for showing how out of touch she's becoming. Her reaction to Moses casually mentioning his hour-long lunch break had fans cringing. Like, girl, that's reality for most people. That disconnect is exactly why she couldn't put herself in Brooke's shoes. Instead, she came off as biased toward Tana, which left a sour taste in people's mouths. Interestingly, Moses actually offered the most reasonable compromise of the whole debate. He suggested that instead of deleting the canceled episodes, they should be relocated to another channel. That way, Brooke and Tana could still share the revenue without erasing years of work. Fans loved that solution, saying it was fair and balanced. But whether Tana or Trisha would ever go for that is another story entirely. Let's be real. Tana doesn't actually care about the contents of Canceled. If she did, half of those storytime clips never would have been uploaded in the first place, or she would have scrubbed them from the internet years ago. What she really wants is a clean slate for her channel, and in some ways, that's fair. Tana has always been about reinvention, but true to her brand, she also has a habit of ignoring controversy until it dies down, never addressing it directly unless she absolutely has to. That's why fans were so surprised when she actually broke her silence. Instead of staying quiet and waiting for the backlash to fade, Tana posted a long TikTok trying to clear the air. In her explanation, she admitted that she was basically just thinking out loud during that podcast episode, and that's where she went wrong. She said the whole idea stemmed from the Canceled tour, where they kept replaying an old clip from one of her story times. Seeing that moment again made her wish she could wipe certain things from the internet forever. Tana also responded to the flood of comments telling Brooke to lawyer up. She called it crazy and insisted she would never do Brooke dirty like that. She acknowledged that Brooke was absolutely vital to the success of Canceled, and that she doesn't plan to cut her out when it comes to revenue or business matters. At the same time, though, Tana doubled down that at the end of the day, it's still her channel. And once the podcast wraps, it's her decision what happens to it. To wrap up her TikTok, Tana said this whole fiasco is the perfect example of why Canceled needs to end. In her eyes, people love pinning her and Brooke against each other, when in reality, she claims, there's no bad blood between them. And surprisingly, this explanation actually landed better with fans than her initial podcast comments. Many said it was refreshing to see Tana defend Brooke publicly, instead of making her look like the odd one out. One person wrote, "Thank you for standing up for her for once in your life." Another added, "Why can't people just accept that you are genuinely friends? It drives me insane." Still, even with Tana's attempt at damage control, some viewers remain skeptical. They fear that when money's on the line, and when one person clearly has more power, popularity, and brand deals, things could still get messy. Brooke may have been reassured for now, but fans worry that behind closed doors, the imbalance will continue. After all, when friendship and business mix, history shows it rarely ends clean. As the podcast winds down, some believe the smartest move Tana could make is to step away from the Canceled channel entirely. Let it live as a graveyard of what once was, an archive of chaos, iconic moments, and messy storytelling that defined an era. That way, fans can revisit the show whenever they want, and both Tana and Brooke can walk away without erasing each other's contributions. So what do you think? Did Tana genuinely stand by Brooke? Or is this just another strategic PR move to keep fans happy while she rebrands herself? Will Brooke manage to bounce back from this partnership ending, or will the shadow of Canceled follow her for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the messiest influencer breakups and scandals. Because if one thing's for sure, it might be the end of Canceled. But the drama is far from over.